Hey everyone, did you think that divorce was going to be the end of your struggles, but realized that it's just the beginning? The emotions of grief, anxiety, and stress hit harder than you expected. You realize that these emotions aren't just affecting you, they're affecting your kids, your family, and even your friends see the ripple effects. Well, here's the thing, you are not alone, and you don't have to go through it alone. In this episode of Healing Through Sharing, I chat with Nina, who is a coach who helps women heal and rebuild their lives after divorce. We talk about the emotional toll, the unexpected challenges, and most of all, how to move forward with confidence. So, if you're feeling stuck, less than, or unsure of where to start and how to start, this episode is for you. You do not want to miss this conversation. Hey, Nina, welcome to my Healing Through Sharing podcast. Today we're going to talk about divorce, the D word. And I'm divorced, you're divorced. So we
Mhm.
have something in common. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are going through similar situations. And we're just going to talk about divorce because a lot of times it's still like a taboo word, right?
Mhm.
Um,
Yes, it is.
yeah, yeah. So people, I mean, divorce is so common and it has been common for a while. Um, but still people have a hard time even saying it. I'll admit I don't like saying that I'm divorced. I'd rather say I'm not married anymore or I was
Yeah,
married,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Yeah, even with the statistics, I mean, we see the statistics, we know what that is, and yet still somehow we're surprised, or we still have this, it's divorce is it's this stigma that's on that word, right?
Mhm.
And it takes a long time for people to change sometimes in the world. So yeah,
Yeah.
we want to talk about it more. I think it's important to talk about because divorce is an emotional roller coaster. It's hard. I mean, your whole life changes, right? It really
It
does.
does. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it affects not only the couple, but it affects the kids, the family, the friends. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Dynamics in a lot of situations
Yeah,
and with a
yeah.
lot of people too. It's very hard. I mean, if you think about it, divorce is a loss, right? It is, you
Hmm.
will go through a grieving stage.
Yeah.
And you may not even it may not you may not go through each stage consecutively. You will go maybe from stage one to stage four to stage two, and everyone is different, right? And
Right. Yeah.
even 2 years after a divorce, there may things be things that come up, situations and circumstances. So it
Mhm.
is a journey, especially when you have kids, right? Because it's
Yeah.
not technically, I mean, when you don't have children with it's not, I'm not going to say that it's easy then too. It's not
No.
easy, period. But there's that tie that keeps you together now, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I hear a lot of couples who separate or get divorced have pets, right?
Hmm.
And
This is
and
true.
and the pets are kind of that tie as
Yep.
well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I had my two kids, but I also had a dog. And in my mind, that dog was staying with me, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
She was mine, right? But
Yeah,
she wasn't.
yeah.
She was both of ours. So but yeah, I can definitely see that for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what are some of the other challenges that can likely come up when we talk about separation and divorce?
Yeah. So that is, and I think we talked about that. That's like a loaded question, right?
Yeah.
Because like I said, it's divorce is the end. It's end of a chapter,
Mhm.
it's a beginning of a new chapter. There's a lot that you'll go through a lot of emotional roller coaster and mental roller coaster as well, right? So
Mhm.
you're gonna have a lot of conflict within yourself.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that comes also even if it didn't matter who instigated the divorce, even if it was mutual,
Mhm.
um, things will come up. People will go through their own grieving stages. So there's that, there's the financial,
Mhm.
money is a big thing. Money is a big thing. A
Huge.
lot
Yeah.
of people stay, we had talked about this, will stay in marriages because
Yeah.
of the money,
Yeah.
not just because of the kids.
Yeah.
I think that's almost sometimes, not
Mhm.
the money. So the financial stress and worry about what's to
Mhm.
come. And just, imagining what your life's going to look like now, right?
Yeah.
That's hard. And the dynamics will change in a
Mhm.
lot of relationships. And divorce can also affect your work, your productivity at work.
Mhm.
You're not thinking straight. And also routines can be uplifted and uprooted and schedules. So there's a lot that goes on.
Yeah, yeah. I would talk to some friends, and one of them said to me, make sure that you're financially able to support yourself because, there's not going to be that second income. And then I had another friend who said, be sure that this is really, really what you want because divorce can be lonely. You're not going to have the same friends anymore. You're not going to, or you may not have the same friends, right? You may not have even the family support that,
Yeah.
because a lot of family, like they kind of stay
The
away.
beliefs, the
Yeah,
old beliefs, yes,
yeah,
yeah, all of that. All of that.
yeah.
I think that it is important if you are considering divorce, if you're not the person on the other end who is surprised by it, because
Mhm.
sometimes that happens too.
Yeah,
If you're going to be the one who's instigating, yeah, I think it's important to really recognize what can come of this,
yeah,
and if you
yeah.
have kids, it's important to keep them in mind, especially,
Right. Yeah.
um, but yeah, if prepare yourself, and have a
Mhm.
conversation with your partner too. Don't blindside them is the word that I was looking for, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because you did say, and I heard you say this, that, divorce can be lonely. Absolutely. But you can also feel very alone in being in married too,
True.
right?
Absolutely. Yeah. You're right.
So if you can, and again, most communication. So if you can have a conversation with your partner and let them know what
Mhm.
you're feeling and how, what's going on. And who knows? Maybe you guys can work on something together. I think this is the thing. When you're married and it takes work,
It
right? It
does.
does. It takes work.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we're not the same people. I'm not the same person I was when I got
Mhm.
married.
Yeah.
I'm not the same person I was right before I got my divorce either, right?
Mhm.
Like we are continuously growing, hopefully,
Yeah. Yeah.
hopefully. And hopefully you guys can do that together, right?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. I was gonna say, yeah.
And if you can't, then it's a different story. Sometimes relationship that maybe you're better off as friends,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially when you have children, maybe you're better off as friends. I know that can be hard to see,
Hmm.
but you can get there.
Yeah, yeah. But you make a really good point because yes, you could be married and feel totally alone. But
Absolutely.
it's different to feel totally alone, knowing that there's somebody in the background and compared to feeling totally alone
Yeah.
and you're alone.
And
And
you're alone because
yeah,
it's now the reality, right? Like
exactly. And
it's not just having a body next to you anymore because I mean, that's what he was, my security, my ex. He was
right.
my root. He was my person, right? Like
Yes,
that's who I
yeah,
felt safe with, right? We
yeah,
fought a lot, but
yeah.
I felt safe with him regardless.
Right. Yeah, yeah. And I mean, sometimes, you can imagine and you can think about how it will be, but until you're actually there, sometimes it's hard to really feel,
Yeah.
that challenge or that I don't know, like I mean, it's one thing to say, oh yes, okay, I'm fine being alone, but when you're actually alone, that's when the true test comes
Yeah.
in,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember,
Because now you've got to work with yourself,
yeah,
right? You now all the
exactly.
focus is on you. Like
Or even, going out with. I mean, I
yeah.
remember going to my first wedding as a solo, and it was hard. It was really, really hard. First of all, it was a family wedding and everybody was coupled. And here I am sitting at a table with all my cousins who are, have their significant other. And I felt awkward, but
Yeah.
I had to, you have to find that strength to over.
And I believe that's why that happened, for you to find that strength and
Yeah,
that growth and to look at it like, hey, I'm here on my own now. Like I'm free. I
this
can
is
do what I
it.
want. I can
Yeah,
dance. I don't have to, I can dance whatever, right? Like
yeah,
how you look at it too, it is that mindset, right?
right.
So
Yeah, yeah,
that's very important, really
yeah.
paying attention to what's going on within you,
Hmm.
and understanding those emotions, right? I feel
Yeah.
very awkward. Why am I feeling? Because I'm divorced. Why? Because everybody here is it. And I feel like everyone's staring
And
at me.
right,
Everyone's
we're
judging me. And
making,
oh my
yeah,
God, I
we're
feel
making up
so
these
ashamed.
stories.
Yeah, and then you let yourself in and you fall into a spiral,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So again, mindset. Well, and
Yeah.
people used to say, I would say I'm divorced, and they'd say, "Oh, sorry."
Right.
And I'd look at them and I go, "So you're married?" Yeah. "Oh, I'm sorry."
Yeah.
Like because I mean, was I happy in my marriage? No. Was I blindsided? Yes. Like there was a lot there, right?
Yeah.
And this is
Yeah.
what everyone's going to go through something different when it comes to their separation and divorce, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Um, but paying attention and also healing is so important
Yes. Yeah.
for future relationships, better relationships,
Hmm.
and for
Hmm.
yourself mostly. That's what that relationship within yourself, because
Yeah.
how you react and just how you move forward.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's important for either case, whether you were the instigator or not. I
Oh,
still think that
absolutely.
you need that
If
healing.
you felt you were in an unhappy marriage,
Hmm.
what was happening there?
Right.
It's time to do some inner reflection. And what part did you take in that too?
Yes. It
Because it's
takes
not
two.
just one person, and it doesn't matter that you were blindsided.
Yeah.
We talk about, I meet a lot of people that were in what they call narcissistic relationships. I call just unhealthy relationships.
Hmm.
And there's a reason why you attracted that too.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff that needs to be looked at so that you don't fall into the same unhappy
Right.
next relationship, you
That's
know?
right. Yeah, yeah. And then of course, there's the kids. And I like what you said about communicating. If you're having those marital problems, communicate with your other half. But also I think it's important to bring the kids, depending on their
Yes.
age, of course,
Yeah.
right? But I mean, kids are so aware. So you can take, a 5-year-old who understands exactly what's going on around them. And so why not, having that conversation with them as well? Like your conversation.
You're going to talk to them in the age appropriate, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're not sure, have conversations with other people who may have gone through the same experience.
Right.
This
Yeah.
is where connection is so important, right?
Yes.
And I say to you, the people that are surrounding you that love you may not be the best people to help you through this.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so it's important to find, I know it's hard to get up and get out there. My advice is just don't get stuck.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't get stuck. You
Yeah.
will feel things, feel them. They
Hmm.
are valid. Understand where it's coming from. And
Yeah.
then that's the hard part, is letting that go or
Yeah.
working with that, right?
And there's so much help out there. I mean, you yourself, help.
Guys, the whole statistics, how many divorced people? Come on, there's people out there, right?
Yeah, there's people out there, but there's
Yeah.
people out there to help as well.
Yeah.
And, you're one of them. You
Yeah.
help women in particular. I guess you help individuals, men and women, but mostly women, on this healing journey, so that they can rebuild their lives post-divorce, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, what led you to help or want to help women on this
Well,
journey?
yeah, yeah. Because I think after my divorce, so that was my rock bottom. What I had realized through, and I like I told you, I didn't start my healing journey straight away. right? Like I started my new journey, but the healing started after I had a relationship after my divorce. And it was when I realized that I didn't know how to have healthy relationships.
Mm.
It was important for me to help other women. And I say women mostly just because a lot of them really lose themselves in a marriage, you know.
Mhm.
I think we're still sometimes in an old school mentality. So a lot of women will sacrifice their careers, you know,
Yeah.
to raise the kids right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of them are suffering in silence. A lot of them are going through feeling like a failure. And that just doesn't come, what I realized, from the marriage ending.
Hmm.
That's a feeling that's been there probably for a while and within a lot of different areas in your
Yeah.
life, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So my point is when that relationship ended, I went back to that. I felt even worse than I did after my divorce.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, so I realized if I'm feeling like this, I know there's other women feeling like this. And when I started this healing journey, I met them all. I
Yeah.
met them
Wow.
all.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful though. You know, all of a sudden, so I want to help other women. I want to help empower them. I want to help them heal from the residuals of all of that divorce and that marriage and
Hmm.
to move forward into this new life, this new
Hmm.
opportunity. I know it's hard to think of it like that right now,
Yeah.
but it is. It's a
It
new
is.
to
Yeah.
live life the way you want and to learn who you are as an individual person. You know,
Mhm.
I was with my guy for 20 years. And then before that, I was in and out of relationships. I don't think I'd ever really been on my own.
Right. Yeah. And that's
You
so
know, the whole
important.
goal they say in life is to meet your soulmate,
Yeah.
your partner, your 50-50.
Right.
You know, oh, I want to be 100% when I go into my next relationship.
Yeah.
I want to be able to be who I am, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
So
finding your own self. It's, yeah, reinventing yourself after the
reinventing.
divorce. It's rebuilding, yeah, that life that, and now you have, it's like a second chance, right? It's, um, you get to decide how you want to live your life
Mhm.
going forward. Yeah.
You weren't happy in your marriage. Be happy now. If you're not sure what that is, seek help.
Exactly. Yeah,
Look
because
for
I mean,
guidance.
because that's a loaded question in itself.
Hmm.
What makes you happy? What makes me
I
happy?
didn't know.
I,
That's what
I,
started my healing. I didn't know.
yeah,
I, I thought it's got to be better than this.
right.
Whether it's my relationships, whether it's my work, it was all of it,
Yeah,
actually, right?
yeah,
It was all of
yeah,
it,
yeah.
right?
And so, what can somebody expect when they take your program or your coaching services?
They can expect to get the support that they need through their grieving processes, through their grieving process,
Mhm.
to understand their emotions, and where that's coming from, to learn to let go and to intuitively start guiding themselves in this new life and what they want, right?
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
start envisioning their future self, you know. So heal, start soul connection, and start envisioning their future self. A nice healing path to their future self,
Yeah,
really.
that's that's wonderful. Yeah.
And that's actually the name of my program. So
Oh, so sorry.
a
Say
healing path to your future
healing.
self. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
excellent. Yeah, I love
yeah.
that. Yeah, yeah. And so, what are some of the tips that you do provide? Like, I'm thinking that you provide practical, hands-on tips that will help them through this transition.
Yeah, so I do have a free PDF if anybody wants. I have a couple of them actually, that can help a little bit start you into this. And one of them is, you know, 3 steps to initiate the healing after divorce,
Mhm.
allowing yourself to feel,
Right.
allowing yourself to feel, allowing yourself to go through that grieving process. There's no shame in that whatsoever, right?
Hmm.
So if
Hmm.
you're angry, be angry, you know,
Yeah.
find someone who you can or write it down, you know. The second step in that would be, you know, to really have that compassion for yourself, embrace that, you know,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
really is. So let yourself embrace it, you know, and then third is, and I find this is find that support, you know, what you're going to go look for lawyers. Okay, you should be getting lawyers. Okay, they're going to help you through this, but they're going to help you through the legalities and all of that stuff,
Yeah.
right? Look for that emotional support, that emotional and mental support, because those lawyers are not going to be able to help you through that, and there's going to be a lot of turbulence in there. Even if you guys get along, trust me,
Once the
things
lawyers get into the mix, like yeah, even
it brings up stuff.
it does. Even an amicable divorce can turn ugly,
Yes,
because that's kind of
yes.
their role. I hate to say it, but yeah.
And then especially when kids or animals are involved,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Then it especially makes it even more emotional. And that's the part that makes it hard, guys. It's the
Mhm.
emotions inside that's causing that, right?
Right.
So it's so important to find support wherever that is, whatever that
Yeah.
looks like to you,
Yeah.
Um, that would be my suggestion. And I have a workbook that if people wanted to go download, it does have some exercises in there that can help you start that healing path towards your
Right.
future self, right?
But
So,
great. Yeah. As women, we feel that we have to be strong and we have to do it all on our own, but really we don't. And we find compassion for everybody else,
mhm,
but sometimes we don't have compassion for ourselves.
and that's the most important
Yes.
because and that was one thing I realized. I was
Mhm.
so angry at everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody's fault. It was everybody.
Yeah.
And when I actually started to turn that anger inwards and I realized that was me that I was angry at this whole time,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Well, they say, it's the mirror, it's the
Absolutely.
mirror exercise. And I think Louise Hay, or I can't remember who coined it, but it's like whenever you're feeling an emotion like that, look at yourself in the mirror and find out where it's really
Yeah.
coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also talk to yourself too, like you were talking to a young child.
Yeah. Or your best
Imagine
friend.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what would you say to that child? Would you say those things that you're saying to yourself right now that are hurting you?
Exactly. Yeah.
Or would you say something to make them feel better? And that's the inner child work too, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, divorce can bring up a lot. It's a very complex journey.
Yes. Yeah. It is.
But you get through it. You get through it. You come out on the other side
Yeah.
thriving. But
Wait,
when you do
exactly.
your healing, you'd be surprised how others, like, you'll be surprised
Yeah, it's kind
how
of
it
like
affects others.
an inward, outward type of thing. And
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah, I agree. I think I feel that, if you're emotionally well, then it helps you in your relationships with others. It's been great chatting with you today, Nina. Like this is
Oh, thank you.
I love this I love the work that you're doing with the women, just rebuilding their life and helping them on their healing journey. You've given us a lot of information, and I love your the tips that you provide in your free PDF, which I would say, take advantage of, anybody who's listening. um, you know, Nina will send it to you, or
Yeah,
and
for sure.
and you can start from there.
Mhm.
And then, because a lot of the times we think that we don't want to start, or we might be a little apprehensive of even admitting that we need some help. And so this is a great way. I mean, it's a PDF. They read it on their own. There's nobody else there.
Yeah.
And that's how they can start their journey. So thank you for that, Nina.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm very grateful and excited that I was able to have this and share some of this information if it helps anybody at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope it does, it will help a lot of people.
I hope so.
For our listeners and watchers, please, thank you for watching. Please share, like, and subscribe to my channel for more podcasts like this one. See you next time. Bye.